Hey there YouTube, I'm Tritox, and today I am talking about the Raven Paradox and how it is testing the scientific method. First off, you need to know what the Raven Paradox is and how it works. After that, I'll explain how it tests the methodology of today's science world. So to begin with, the Raven Paradox, also known as Hempel's Paradox, goes as follows. Observing a green apple increases the likelihood of all ravens being black. This paradox was presented in philosopher Carl G. Hempel's 1965 essay, Studies in the Logic of Confirmation. The paradox seemingly makes no sense, and I pretty much thought the same thing when I first read the paradox. After I did some digging, everything actually seemed to make sense. Here's how the paradox works. Suppose you see a raven and you notice it is black. Later you see several more ravens, all of which are black as well. As you see more and more ravens, they all turn out to be black in color. Reasonably thinking, you conclude that this is more than a mere coincidence, and with the instincts of an observant scientist, you form a hypothesis. All ravens are black. This, of course, is an example of the first step in the scientific method, where you make a hypothesis based on observation. The next step is experimentation to either confirm or refute the hypothesis. This is where trouble arises. In a case like this, experimentation amounts to observing as many ravens as possible and confirming that they are all black. Now, it is impossible, even in principle, to observe every raven, for countless no longer exist, many do not yet exist, and it is conceivable that there are creatures one would also wish to call ravens that exist in inaccessible places such as other planets. There are always limits to an experimental apparatus, even if the apparatus is just a matter of observing as many ravens as possible to check their color. Nonetheless, we feel justified in saying that each new observation of a black raven tends to confirm the hypothesis, and in time, if no green or blue or otherwise non-black ravens are observed, our hypothesis will eventually come to have the status of a natural law. However, the question remains whether or not this is logical. Note that, logically put, the hypothesis all ravens are black has the form of a conditional, that is, a statement of the form if A, then B. In short, it is saying that if a given object is a raven, then that object is black. According to the laws of logic, a conditional is equivalent to its contrapositive, that is, a statement of the form if A, then B is equivalent to the statement if not B, then not A. For example, the statement, if I live in Denver, then I live in Colorado, is logically equivalent to the statement, if I do not live in Colorado, then I do not live in Denver. This rule of logic is unquestionable. The hypothesis, all ravens are black, therefore has the equivalent form, all non-black things are non-ravens, or more precisely, if an object isn't black, then it is not a raven. Consequently, if every sighting of a black raven confirms this hypothesis, then every sighting of a non-black, non-raven equally confirms our hypothesis. For example, I have a blue shirt, it is not a raven. Confirmation. The grass is green, my walls are white, my car is red. All these statements confirm the hypothesis that all ravens are black. So now that you hopefully understand this paradox, we can discuss the issues it presents with a scientific method. First of all, the paradox questions generalizations. Using the ravens as an example, it is physically impossible to count every single raven that has ever lived and will ever live, which may leave a few non-black individuals. Hempel was not trying to comment upon the exact science, but as an interesting aside, about 1 in 10,000 raven eggs contain partially or fully albino birds. Most albino birds are most visible to predators, suffer from health problems, and may be a localized phenomenon. The odds of seeing an albino raven are very small, and sightings are extremely rare. A researcher could sample many thousands of ravens and not see one white bird, even though they do exist. Even though the current hypothesis is that ravens are black, there might be a white raven that is never found and would disprove the hypothesis. Next, as I said earlier, when a researcher states that all ravens are black, the laws of logic demand that this conditional statement has a contrapositive statement. Therefore, according to inductive reasoning, everything that is not black is not a raven. This means that every non-black object observed that is not a raven equally strengthens the hypothesis. There are countless numbers of non-black objects in the universe which are not ravens. To take the analogy a step further, another researcher in another part of the world, through some fluke, may have only seen one raven in their entire lives, which happened to be white. Their deduced hypothesis may be that all ravens are white. Every non-white object which is not a raven strengthens this opposing hypothesis too. This is essentially the Raven Paradox. So does all the scientific advancement made possible with a scientific method come crashing down because of this simple paradox? Of course not. The Raven paradox is just a useful philosophical observation that helps ensure scientists are constantly probing and testing the steps of the established scientific processes. It proves that scientists should stay away from broad generalizations. In short, Hempel's Raven paradox stands to remind us all that no theory, however established, should be immune to challenge or debate. As new evidence is uncovered, science must adapt and change to assimilate the new data. Hope you guys and girls enjoyed this video, or at least understood this video. Make sure to comment down below with your thoughts, click that like button, and subscribe. As always, have an amazing Saturday.